Yo, what's going on then, guys? It's your boy Ben Gregson, or Dilemma here, coming at you with my first place winner box Tearlament deck list. So the tournament was hosted by a good friend of mine, Charlie. He ran it just for a group of his friends, and he was like, right, I'm just gonna give away a free box. Here's the opportunity for you guys to win one. So I have won a free box of Darkwing Blast, which is really cool. He had a random box of Darkwing Blast sat around, and he decided to give it away, which, shout out to him. And I'll post a link to his Discord in the description where you guys can join and find tournaments like that. So this is the deck I played, and I'll be honest, I didn't expect myself to play Tearlament. But I was like, I need something new to play, and I was originally going to play Zephyr, but I found that Zephyr has a really bad cash matchup, simply because if they lock your scales, you like lose the game, so you need to draw your going second cards more than you do with other decks. And this deck has a lot of room for non-engine now, simply because there's less Tearlament names that you have to play and less Ishuzi names you have to play. So there's room for like 9 hand traps or so, which is like the 9 you can see that I'm playing here. Obviously the deck's less consistent than it was, but the power this deck has is actually really good in comparison to other decks. And also just as a mid-range deck, it's very, very strong. So I'll go through the card by card and just explain everything to you. So obviously we're playing one of each name. You can make the argument for playing multiple Rhino Heart. I wanted to play multiple Rhino Heart for a while, but the issue with Rhino Heart is you have to already be milling, or you have to open King of the Swamp for Rhino Heart to have any real value. So Rhino Heart's there for searching off a planet, because we play 3 planet, 1 terraforming to search the planet, plus 2 Foolish Burial Goods, which will get you to Soliak, which will get you to Rhino Heart anyway. So you have 1, 4, 5... 7 ways into Rhino Heart, so you don't need to play the multiple copies. Same reason we don't have to play multiple copies of the names. Like, it's harder to mill the names, but Rhino Heart's a name that you have, if you mill, you have to have a tier card in your hand anyway. So it's significantly, you know, better just to add from your deck if you need it, and if you mill it, right? Then we're playing 2 Soliak and 1 Meta Noise. Meta Noise is really good into cash. Originally, I was going to side Meta Noise and just play the 2 Soliak in the main deck, but because this deck's more mid-range now, you want the trap cards to be able to add. You don't have the freedom of adding them off of Kit Kalos anymore, but a lot of the time you'll be like planet popping your Kaleido Heart to send Scream to be able to add Soliak, so then you have Soliak plus Kaleido Heart, and then any fusion that you've made prior in the turn. Which in this list quite often is Winder. You're either ending on like Winder, Rule Kalos, and Kaleido Heart, or you're ending on like Winder, Grapha, Kaleido Heart, Soliak, which is very, very strong. So the Meta Noise and the Soliak are there. Also, Meta Noise allows you to fusion summon by sending from the deck, which is a lot better in this version because you have less access to tier names, so being able to send tier names from your deck to the graveyard instead of your like field to the graveyard is really strong. Then we're playing the triple Primeval Planet, the 1 terraforming to get to the Primeval Planet, and then the 2 copies of Scream. Scream's really good still. I can't bring myself to play 3 copies, simply because when you're milling, if you're milling multiple copies of Scream, because I'm already playing a bunch of redundant stuff, like the hand traps, playing a 3rd redundant copy of Scream, like, if you've already milled one, you don't want to mill another. Like, you want to see Scream, but you don't want to see it all the time. You want to see it sometimes, but not all the time. And then we're playing 3 copies of Tearlament Kashtira, 3 copies of Fenrir, and 3 copies of the Field Spell. I'm sorry if you guys thought this was going to be budget. You can play without the Kashtira stuff and just play the 3 Kashtira tier and play an Extra Goods and Trivikama to get access to Primeval Planet. But the Kashtira stuff is so stupidly strong in this deck in particular, because not only is Kashtira tier a mill 5 a lot of the time, like you'll mill 3 and then you'll mill 2 later on in the turn, but also it allows you to get access to Dracosac, which makes Cherubini. And then Cherubini sends King of the Swamp, and then you just need any additional body to make Spring send Merly, and that gets you into your, like, plays and gets your engine rolling. Also, Fenrir is insane going second, and Tearlament Kashtira is actually technically a hand trap. Like, it enables some interaction. Like, there was a game where my Winder was sat at 2400 with Pressure Planet on the field. My opponent summoned another attribute to the field, so it goes up to 25. He has Lubellion Masquerade. And I go, activate the effect of Tearlament Kashtira in hand, still in the main phase, to summon itself, so I have a water on field, to boost my Winder to 2600, and then he still swings his Masquerade into my Winder, thinking that my Winder is 25 and that he'd crash, but my Winder was 2600. Like, those are like the niche interactions, which is why Scream's really good as well, because Scream actually allows you to protect your Winder, which Winder is actually just a win condition. Granted, it's a lot harder to get to, but because of Cherubini, we can Cherubini send Hedgehog instead of Cherubini sending King of the Swamp if we want to make a Winder play. Then we're playing the 3 best Tearlament cards. You can make an argument for cutting Keldo, but if your turn starts with Activate Keldo, Activate Shiren, discard Keldo, you literally turn off most of Branded's interruptions. So I really like having the 1 Keldo in the deck. Also, we're playing Foolish Burial, so you can technically send Keldo. And post-side, we're playing 3 Shadol Fusion, and we're also playing Shekanaga. So you can go activate Shadol Fusion, send Dragon, send Keldo, and then you can Dragon pop their Lost, and then Keldo shuts off their other 2 back row, which is really, really strong. Kelbeck's just a good hand trap, and obviously these are ways to mill, so we like playing ways to mill. 3 King of the Swamp and 1 Polymerization. This allows us to access Chimera. It also allows us to access Rule Callous. So we have to play 3 King of the Swamp now, which sucks, but the card is okay. It's also an Aqua. Like, there's a lot of synergies with King of the Swamp, so I don't mind playing King of the Swamp. I actually think the card's pretty good. I played it when we still had, like, all the tier stuff at 3, granted, in less copies. And then the 1 Polymerization to make Chimera with, and also just, like, Poly with a Shadol and a Tearlament is pretty good. I won a couple of games over that. Then we're playing Hell Shadol Hollow and Hedgehog. So you might be thinking, oh Ben, surely you should be playing Beast instead of this like Hollow guy. I was looking at some OCG lists, and Hollow has been overperforming over in the OCG. And I sort of like looked into it. So for those of you guys who don't know what Hollow does, I'll quickly go over it for you. So if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send cards on top of your deck equal to the number of attributes original attributes among the monsters on the field. This card has milled 5 for me. This is essentially just another Rashizu card. And even if it's just like milling 2 or 3 cards, we need as many cards that mill, because obviously we have less names, so we want to thin our deck as much as possible. Also, post-side with Shadol Fusion, we side out the Hedgehog and play Dragon and Hollow, because there was a game where I went activate Shadol Fusion, send Hollow, send Kelbeck, and went mill, I think I milled 8 in total, and I already had a Rule Kalos on board, and I had Scream, so I milled 11, and obviously when you're milling 11 with Tear, you're basically just winning the game, and the Hedgehog is to send off a Cherubini to give you window access, so that's why we're playing the level 3, conveniently it's level 3, right? And then we're playing 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru, the 1 Terraforming to such our slew of field spells, 2 Foolish Burial Goods and Foolish Burial. You can make an argument to cut these 3 cards and just play the deck at 40. But I found that when you don't open a tier name, as like usually the games you lose, so the 2 Foolish Burial Goods basically just guarantees as a tier name a lot of the time. Like the math works out that you will have a tier in most of your opening hands, and opening stuff like Shiren to play into boards is super important, so I just value Foolish Burial Goods. You can totally cut Goods in Foolish Burial if you wish, but I think these cards are like pretty much mandatory. We'll go to the extra deck next, so we're playing 1 Kaleido, 1 Winder, 1 Shekanaga, 1 Rule Kalos, 1 Grapha, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Dragon Stapelia, and 1 Chimera. You can make an argument for cutting Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon comes up admittedly less and less, but like there are situations where you have your Hedgehog in graveyard and you don't want to Winder yourself, but you want to put the Hedgehog back in your deck to send off a Shadol Fusion. And same with Dragon. So I really like having the option of having Mud Dragon in my extra deck. Also, it's level 4, so you can make your Reader and your Baguska with it, which is pretty strong. Then for the rank 4s, we're literally just playing Reader and Baguska. No Dweller, because we don't need to Dweller people in this format. Everybody's playing Kashtira and everybody's playing Branded. Dweller's okay against Branded, but it's just not as good as summoning Baguska in defense mode and saying, have an out. Which is, admittedly, the side plan. Redoer is obviously really strong. It's one of the ways you fusion summon now. A lot more than you used to. Like, having Shiren, Rhino Heart on field and going, make Redoer effect detach. Shiren, trigger, make your Kaleido Heart there. It comes up a lot more than you think it does, especially if people are still on Bestials. Like, you need ways to fusion summon your opponent's turn as well as your own, which is why I really like the Redoer. Then 1 Draco Sack, this is how we get to the Cherubini line, to get to Sprint, to be able to send Merly, to be able to fusion summon. And then 1 Zeus because it's Zeus, then we're playing Dark, Cherubini, and Sprint. And then for the extra, we're playing triple Shoot All Fusion, 1 Dragon, 2 Econ, 2 Dark Hole, 3 D-Barrier, 3 Evenly Matched, and 1 Tearlament's Crime. You can make an argument for not playing Crime in this deck, because a lot of the time you're vomiting your whole hand on the board, but post-side you have to play a more mid-range strategy. The Evenlies are obviously just obvious. The 3D barriers are for Despia, and also they're like okay against Cash. The Dark Holes and Econs, the reason I've gone for a 2-2 split, originally it was 3 Econ, 1 Pancratops, and then I realised that I just want to Dark Hole my own board if I Nibiru someone, so I decided to play 2 Dark Hole and 2 Econ, simply so I could clear my own field to summon my Fenrir post-side, because I'm never siding out Fenrir or Rysith, because they're like the best cards going second. And then obviously we have our 3 Shoot All Fusion and our 1 Dragon. The Dragon is specifically for hitting Kashtira Birth, because it's really strong against you. So you need to remove Kashtira Birth quite reliably, and if they end on like Rise Heart and stuff, you clear the Rise Heart, and then you Shoot All Fusion, sending Dragon, popping Birth, so they have no way of banishing your tier names off of activations of normal spells. Because losing your tier names face down is a massive pain in the ass. But yeah, that's the deck list. If you did enjoy, please remember to hit the like button, please subscribe. I'll probably post some live duels with this deck because I'm genuinely really enjoying it. Like, I might do a live commentary or something, just to keep myself going. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful and fantastic day. It's been your boy, Ben Gregson, or Dilemma YGO here, and God bless and peace.